Today I'm going to be ranking players on a tier list based on how likely I think they are to get traded. As you can see, we have the pack your bags tier, which basically means it's a guarantee. Likely traded, which means I think you're gonna go, but I'm not 100% sure. 50-50 straightforward. Unlikely traded, meaning I'd kind of be a little surprised. And then bro ain't leaving, there's just no way. Before we get going into the video, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you, especially this MLB Trade Deadline season. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. We're in the dog days of summer of the MLB season, and the trade deadline's coming up, which means your favorite team is probably getting some new players. You're going to want to see them play. That's why you go to SeatGeek and use my code Giraffe10 to get 10% off your first order of MLB tickets on SeatGeek. There's also over 70,000 live events listed on SeatGeek right now, so of course you could go to baseball games, you could go to basketball games with the NBA season coming up, not to mention my personal favorite feature on SeatGeek, which is their SeatGeek score. That's where they take tickets on a scale of 1 to 10 to let you, the buyer, know if you're getting a good deal or not. So when you're going to buy tickets and you see them with a score closer to 10 with a green dot on the map, that means it's a good deal. You should buy those tickets. When you see tickets with a score closer to 1 with a red or even orange dot on the map, that means it's not a good deal. You don't need to buy those. So once again, I've got the hookup for you guys. Use my code Giraffe10 for 10% off your first order of MLB tickets on SeatGeek. Click the link in the description, download the SeatGeek app, and of course use my code Giraffe10 to get in on this offer. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. All right, Adley Rutschman. I've seen his name mentioned in some articles. Jeff Passan had him in his, and he's been mentioned in various places, but because of the injury to Samuel Basallo, because of Adley Rutschman still being injured, I just don't see the Orioles trading Adley Rutschman. But is he? He's probably in the bro ain't leaving. Like, they're kind of still in the playoff hunt too, so I'm going to put him down there. I just don't think that if Adley gets traded, it would be right now in the middle of the season. If anything, this would be an off-season trade, but I just don't see it happening. Adrian Morejon. I feel like you have to consider trading him, right? So I'm going to go likely traded just because he's on an expiring contract. The Padres have fallen to third place in the National League West. They're 3 games under 500 at the time of recording, and for a left-handed reliever who's going to hit free agency, it feels like the Padres need to replenish the farm system a little bit since they've torn it down so many years. Never put anything past AJ Preller, but I think he's likely traded. AJ Minter. I think AJ Minter is one of the first in pack your bags. You guys know I'm a big Mets fan. Make it very obvious I'm wearing a Mets hat in this video. There's simply no need for him on the New York Mets. He's a very good left-handed reliever. He's kind of a part of that next tier, like below Morejon, who is below like the Josh Hader types. AJ Minter is going to be moved. He's going to go to a contending team. He's really cheap, and he has been very good this year. There's no reason for him to stay on the Mets. He's even made comments about it, like he knows he's being traded. Antonio Senzatella. I'm going to say likely traded just because I'm never going to put anything past the Colorado Rockies. Senzatella is going to be a free agent at the end of the year because I think there's an option or a team option, and you're not going to pick that up on him, especially because it seems like he's best as a reliever right now, and that option was more so when he was a starter. The stuff has looked really good this year. He's come back down a little bit more to earth, but I feel like anytime you take someone out of Coors who's throwing 100 with some nasty breaking balls like Senzatella has, he's just going to be better. So I think that the Rockies still will move on from him. I think the front office is smarter than it's been in years past. It's not a lock by any means. Brady Singer. I mean, this has to be a pack your bags moment, right? He's not really that good of a pitcher right now. He is more of a depth guy than someone who is going to get even a sniff of a rotation spot in the playoffs, but he can definitely help push your team closer to the postseason just because you can never have too many arms, especially on the starting pitching side. I feel like getting out of Cincinnati will also help him a lot. He's a free agent next season. It feels like the Reds will kind of take almost anything for him. They should be moving on from Brady Singer. And then similarly, Brock Burke, he's kind of in this same conversation as like AJ Minter. I think he's a part of that tier below Morejon in terms of left-handed relievers. He's on an expiring contract. There's absolutely no reason for the Cincinnati Reds, who are not making the postseason, to hold on to a left-handed reliever. If you can get anything for him, you move him. And we've seen the Reds do this in the past. I expect them to be pretty smart. Brooks Raley, join the club. Yeah, I mean, he's like in his late 30s. He's again on an expiring contract. That's going to be one of the big things that we talk about in today's video, expiring contract guys. Brooks Raley just simply has no place on the New York Mets anymore. He has been great. He has an ERA below 2. Brooks Raley's really good. He's going to help a team. That's why you got to move on from him. There's no reason to keep him. Brian Abreu. Oh man, this is an interesting one because it brings up the conversation of, do the Astros actually sell? Now, as you guys can imagine, Brian Abreu on an expiring contract. He's been a little bit hot and cold this year, definitely definitely not as sharp as he's been in the past. The Astros are kind of in it because it's the American League, but maybe this is someone you move on from, especially with Josh Hader back and looking as good as he has. I think because of that, I'm going to go 50-50 on Brian Abreu right now. I think that we might even get a better answer after this weekend, depending how the Astros do in their series. They don't need to make a decision yet, which is why this tier kind of exists. We got to wait and see what happens, but he would be a fun player to see get on the move. Casey Mize. Well, I think Casey Mize is likely traded on an expiring contract, has been really good this season. I saw some people on the wind-up comment section saying that I don't respect Casey Mize enough. It's not that I don't respect Casey Mize enough. I think you're over-respecting. He is a good pitcher. I think he is fighting to get into a true World Series contenders rotation. I still wouldn't be surprised if the Tigers don't move him, which is why I'm also going to put him, I guess, more so in the likely traded rather than pack your bags. It feels like that he could be on the move more so than Tarek Skubal. He's a little bit easier to trade, which sounds crazy to say out loud, but because of the money, a lot of teams could be interested. Therefore, his value of the prospects back might be easier to match up, where Skubal really only has a few teams that are going to actually be going for him. So yeah, I think likely traded, but same thing. Like, the Tigers roll off a hot weekend. They don't need to move him until August. Like, they've got time. Christian Walker, I think right now it's unlikely that he's going to be traded. Still a good hitter, still plays fine defense at first base. He's not as good as he once was, and because that contract will only have 1 year left after this season, it's not as bad. I do think the Astros would have to give some money if he were to get moved, and I don't really know how many teams that are actually competing are dying for a first baseman right now in this kind of contract. It's kind of like the Diamondbacks, which feels like the best fit, but do they want to bring him back at that deal? I'm not sure. That's why I'm going to put Christian Walker in unlikely. Next up, CJ Abrams. I think bro ain't leaving. I just think there's no shot that he gets traded. The package would have to be so insane. I don't think it'd be in the best interest of the Nationals to move him right now. He's a phenomenal hitter. He's a great athlete. He can't really play shortstop. Like, that's not going to be the defensive home for him in the future. I think teams know that. Defense is so important in the postseason. I just don't think that you're going to get the max value, and I don't think that the Nationals as an organization should be looking again to rebuild and retool when there was a really positive thing going on in Washington this year. It's been a great season, even if they don't make the playoffs. It has been a success this year. I think you got to keep these young guys around. I don't think it would be a good look if you trade them. Clay Holmes, that's going to be a pack your bags type moment. Almost all the Mets on this video, well, let's say almost. There's a player option for him, but he's not picking it up because he's going to get paid more money in free agency. This is going to be one of the more highly sought after pitchers on the market. He's shown that he's healthy in his rehab starts. Expect the Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, all the major contenders to be in on Clay Holmes. He's just a really solid starting pitcher. I think Casey Mize is probably a better pitcher, but I think Clay Holmes is more likely to be traded. And I think just because of how he's performed and the injuries that he's had versus what Casey Mize has had, people are less scared of him. Dalton Varsho, I don't see the Blue Jays trading him. Feels tough. He is going to be a free agent after this season. Maybe you try and cash in, but he really is kind of like a boom or bust player right now, and he's not really hitting for the power that you'd hope for. Still plays a phenomenal center field. I'm going to put him in unlikely traded just because the Blue Jays are such a weird team this year. If they decide to tear it down on the pieces that are expendable, one being Dalton Varsho, I wouldn't be shocked, but I am by no means thinking that this is going to happen. Emilio Pagan. I mean, like, do we even really care? Sure, pack your bags. I mean, if the Reds get anything for him right now, which they will, they're going to get something for him, but he's like a 6th inning, 7th inning guy more realistically. I'm sure there are teams that could use it. Like, why wouldn't the Pirates be interested in an Emilio Pagan on a flyer? And then I've got to think that Eugenio Suarez is also going to be on the move. The only reason maybe not is because he's been so bad, but surely someone takes a flyer on a guy who can just catch fire and be one of the best power hitters in the game for the next couple months. So I'm going to put likely traded. I don't think it's a guarantee just yet. We know Eugenio Suarez signed with the Reds because he wanted to be back in Cincinnati. Maybe he just doesn't want to leave. I don't think it's a guarantee that he's moving. Foster Griffin, I mean, they have to trade him, right? The only reason you wouldn't is because you want to still compete down the stretch. They're only 2 games out of the wild card, which is not crazy. They theoretically should and could be buyers. I'm going to put it 50-50 for Foster Griffin. I think it matters what happens, again, up until the trade deadline. Like, if they fall 5-6 games out of the wild card, I think that means he's going to be moved. If they hover around this 1 to 2 game stretch, I think you got to keep him. Francisco Alvarez. I'm not going to put him in bro ain't leaving, but I will put him in unlikely traded on the Mets Stuff podcast, which, of course, is my Mets podcast. If you guys are not yet following, you should. We had MLB insider on, Robert Murray. He doesn't think Francisco Alvarez is on the move. Nobody in the Mets world really does. It seems like they're listening to offers, because if someone blows you away, of course you have to take that deal, but He's such a young player. He's a catcher who's controllable. He's cheap. He's got great power, but he's been bad behind the dish. He's a unique player. Doesn't feel like the right time to trade him if you ever were. One guy that's definitely not going anywhere, Francisco Lindor. I'm not even going to talk about it too much. He's not leaving. The Mets don't want him to leave. He doesn't want to leave. The Mets are in no position to trade Francisco Lindor. It is overall one of the worst possible scenarios for trading him. He's not playing up to his level. He's got a big contract. I don't think either of those things are necessarily going to be hurting him if he was playing well, and I think he will. It's been like 45 games. He always finishes with around an 800 OPS and good defense at shortstop. He's never going to be as good as he was the last couple seasons because he's getting older. One Met that is guaranteed to be traded is Freddie Peralta. A big reason why his contract is up at the end of the season, and the amount of money that he's due the rest of the year is basically nothing. It's going to be like under $4 million for the rest of the season. He's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball this year. There is no doubt about it, and it has been ugly as a Mets fan. It has been truly disappointing. But there's a playoff team out there that is going to use Freddie Peralta. He's going to figure it out. He's going to be great. He's going to pitch in the playoffs for somebody. He is too talented. He's been too consistent in his career to actually be the player that he was with the Mets. It's simply just the New York Mets. That's what it is. That's how it works. I don't even ask questions anymore about how it happens. I've just accepted as a Mets fan, this is our fate. Gleyber Torres. Yeah, he's probably likely traded too. It's more so going to matter what happens down the stretch. You've got Kevin McGonigal who can play second base. He's been fine. He's a really, really good player. Shouldn't say he's been fine. He's been great. If the Tigers are in it, maybe you then want to keep McGonigal at shortstop, third base, wherever he fits best. Then you could keep Gleyber at second, or you trade him. I know he's got some injury stuff, but on an expiring contract, I think a lot of teams that are competing would love to have Gleyber Torres play second base. Isaac Paredes. Probably more so 50-50 because I think the Astros might be able to get back a little bit more than they would for a Christian Walker. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Paredes fits perfectly in the Astros org because of the Crawford boxes, because of his style. But I think if the right offer comes around, the Astros need to consider moving on from him, even though we know he's a very good player. This just might be a very, very weak minor league system that wants to cash in and get some pieces because the Astros are closer to rebuilding than they are actually being a World Series contender in my eyes. Jack Flaherty. Here's an interesting conversation because he's actually pitched well of late. I think that he's likely to be traded too. Sorry to keep doing this with all the Tigers. It's tough because they're so in the middle right now. They are 4 games out, but the American League sucks so bad that like if they just get hot, they'll be in the postseason. It's that simple. We saw the Red Sox do it. I think that there's a chance that he stays, but I think more than likely he's on the move. Jarren Duran, I don't know what his market could possibly look like. All the stuff that's come out about him recently, along with the fact that he has played like absolute dog water. What's his value? He's on a guaranteed contract. It's not the best. I think right now it's 50-50. I think if the Red Sox get a deal that they even slightly think is okay, they would consider it. It's a bit of a crowded outfield, and it seems like he's a clubhouse and locker room problem. Like, I don't know. You'd be trading him at his lowest, but also you might just want to trade him to get rid of the bad juju. Jeff Hoffman. Seems like the Phillies want Jeff Hoffman. That's the hot rumor right now. I think if you're the Blue Jays and you have the opportunity to move on from him, even though the underlying stuff's been great, but the numbers haven't because he just gives up nukes every single time, I think this is going to be a pack your bags. I think we've probably seen the end of Jeff Hoffman with the Toronto Blue Jays. Come August 3rd, he will no longer be in the country of Canada. He's coming back to America. Someone's going to trade for him because, again, the stuff is too good, and I think the Blue Jays might actually get something for him, which is huge. Jeremy Pena. It's such an unprecedented thing. Like, the Braves would have to come along and blow the Astros socks off. I'm going to go unlikely traded, but I do think that he's one of the more likely unlikely traded guys to be moved, if that makes any sort of sense. Good defense, decent bat. It's the Braves. It's the Rays. Depends what the asking price would be. JJ Bleday. I mean, if you're the Reds, you have to move him, right? If anybody gives you some sort of offer for JJ Bleday, who you picked up off the scrap heap, you got to move him. You got him back to being a capable major league player. I think if you get any sort of package back for him, you move him. And then I wish I could put him in pack your bags, but Joe Adell goes in the likely traded just because you can never count out Artie Moreno. He will hold on to players as long as physically possible, and I'm worried that he's going to do it with Joe Adell, who should be traded. I think it's time for Joe Adell and the Angels to part ways. Let this guy move on. You as an organization should move on. It's just he's not a part of the future plan, so get something back for him. Please, try anything. Get creative, Los Angeles Angels. Please, I'm begging you. Joe Ryan. Oh, I think it's unlikely. I really do. Similarly to the Jeremy Pena conversation, even though Joe Ryan's way better as a starting pitcher than Jeremy Pena is a shortstop, in my opinion, I think you're going to have to blow the socks off of the Minnesota Twins. And I think there's a bunch of teams that will consider doing this. But does it happen? That seems unlikely, which is why I'm putting him there. There's a lot of pitchers available, and Joe Ryan would be a game changer for whatever team gets him. It would be a haul. But the Twins are only 2.5 out of the wild card. Like, they're probably not selling particularly hard. Jorge Soler, this has got to be a pack your bags moment. I don't even know what kind of value he has as a DH who's not particularly hitting that well. If someone takes him, the Angels have to move on from him, so much so that you probably even pay his contract the rest of the year to try and move him so that you get any sort of prospect back. Jose Soriano, I think it's going to be unlikely that they trade him. It's been a tale of two seasons. He started off the year like on an insane pace, and since then he's been really bad. He still has the good stuff. I think everybody in baseball knows that he is going to be a good pitcher. He has the ability to be a good pitcher. I just don't think the Angels are ready to move on from him just yet. I think they have other guys that they would consider moving on from first. Josh Hader. I'm going to go 50-50 on Josh Hader. I think because of the money that he's owed, if someone gives the Astros a legit offer, along with not having to eat too much of that contract, they might consider it. And Josh Hader has been disgusting since coming back. He would be a game changer in the bullpen. He's one of the best arms in relief in all of Major League Baseball. If you get the right organization and the right ownership and the right team, I think there's a fit. It's just going to be a hard sell. There's only a couple teams that could realistically do this, so that's why he's 50-50. And it's also the Astros. Jim Crane's crazy. Kenley Jansen. I'll go 50-50 on him too. I'm not really sure what his market's going to look like. Don't feel any sort of way with him right now, which is kind of weird because he is a very movable player. It's just, it's not the same Kenley, so I'm not sure what value he brings to a team right now. Kevin Gausman. Is it crazy to say that I think he's likely to be traded? We got little crumbs as to who his no trade clause teams are, and none of those teams, besides the Brewers, would really be going after Kevin Gausman. I think that because we got that, he's gonna be on the move. The Blue Jays are 6 games out. It doesn't feel like they're a team that's gonna be really dangerous this season, which feels insane to say. I don't think they're gonna be buyers, and I think, again, for Kevin Gausman, given the right opportunity cost back, you probably consider moving on from him. The Blue Jays got some pieces this deadline, similarly to the Mets, not to the same in terms of play this year, but realistically, what is the chance that you do anything? I don't think it's very high in 2026, so I do think Kevin Gausman is likely to be traded. Lane Thomas, pack your bags. If the Royals get anything for him, they should trade him. Similarly, I don't think Lars Nootbaar is going to be on the move. I just think he's like too good of a player right now for the Cardinals, and again, unless that they were blown away by the offer, I don't see Chaim Bloom moving on from him. He's cheap. He's doing things well. He's been good since he's come back from the injury. Only 1.5 back. I think it'd be tough to convince the fan base this was the right move. Luis Arias, pack your bags. You are a Tampa Bay Ray. And he might end up being one of the more impactful players traded at the deadline on the offensive side. The hitting is completely back. When Luis Arias is hitting .330 and playing elite defense at second base, he's an extremely valuable player. I love him on the Rays. I think that's a match made in heaven. Get him in that lineup. Oh my God, they're going to score even more runs. Luis Castillo. I think that they're going to try their best to trade him, but I don't know what the market's going to be back for him with that contract, so I'm going to go 50-50, maybe more of an off-season move, not so much in-season, because again, I don't know if any contenders are really going to take on that money, and this is more for a team that looks to maybe try and win on the edges this off-season, rather than make a push right now. So I'm going to put 50-50. It's been a weird scenario with him in Seattle. The vibes and energy have been way off. Luis Garcia Jr. I'm going to go 50-50 with him too. I think he has one more year of control after this season. He's been incredible. I think if you give the Nationals a good enough offer, they at least have to consider it for a guy who was kind of fighting for his life on this roster going into the season, but he's hitting for power. He's playing a good first base, or good enough. Left-handed bat's always great. It really just depends what happens with the Nationals moving forward. Luis Robert, pack your bags. You're gone. A lot of teams could use athletic right-handed hitting center fielders who play good defense and have the ability to hit 460-foot home runs. Luis Robert is that guy. Cleveland Guardians, Philadelphia Phillies, Atlanta Braves, not necessarily in center field, maybe a corner spot. There's a lot of teams that could use him. He's not going to be a New York Met past the deadline. Feels like there's no way. Luke Weaver. Okay, so this one's actually going to go in 50-50. It seems like teams are not as hyped to the idea that you still need to guarantee all the money to Luke Weaver next year, not because of how good he is, but because that's a fixed cost to a reliever that they might not necessarily love when they can go out and get expendable players players when they can go out and get expiring contracts on relievers. Luke Weaver's been one of the best setup men in all of baseball this year. There's no doubt about the quality. It's going to come down to the contract and the money, and the Mets don't seemingly want to pay any of it. They also aren't necessarily inclined to move on from him right now. Mets still want to try and compete in 2027, which is a funny sentence to say, I know. Luke Weaver would be on the team. They still need bullpen arms if they think they're going to try and win games next season too. So I think it's going to have to be like a perfect fit scenario. Mason Miller. I'm going to go 50-50, truthfully. I know that the report came out that the Padres are going to need to be blown away by the offer to move Mason Miller. I think there's a world where they might. I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees get crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if you see some teams really go for it. Like, why wouldn't the Phillies? I know you have Juan Duran, but go get another guy. Dave Dombrowski's gutted farm systems before. Maybe the Brewers try it with some of their insane prospects. I don't think they'd ever trade him to the Dodgers. Maybe the White Sox go crazy. I don't know. I just think that he's too talented of a player, and there's been too much smoke to completely dismiss the idea that he doesn't have a chance to be traded. So 50-50 for me. Matt Chapman. I think bro ain't leaving. I think the injury plus the down year, it's just not really the time to move on from him, along with the big contract that he has. I think wherever he goes, he'll be a very good player. Feels like more of an offseason trade to me than it would be at the trade deadline. Unless like the Yankees want him to play third base. That's kind of the only true fit I see. Maybe the Phillies, but I don't think they're taking that money right now. Matt Shaw. I think Matt Shaw's likely traded. I think in a move where the Cubs are getting good starting pitching, Matt Shaw is going to be one of the main pieces that's on the move. Like if the Cubs were to ever be in the conversation for maybe like a Casey Mize, I could see along the lines of like Matt Shaw. I think Clay Holmes is probably like the worst pitcher that he'd be moved in. Matt Shaw's shown he's a good ball player, and I think that the Cubs are going to trade him because I think they are going to go for a big name. Maybe he's in a Tarek Skubal trade. It's just not a guarantee by any means. Michael King. Man, that player option's a little bizarre. That makes it a little bit tougher for teams to kind of accept. Michael King's a good pitcher. I'll go 50-50 with him too. Padres can hold on to him, especially if they want to compete next year, which I think they do based on how that roster's formed. A lot of money next year because of the option with the contract that he has. I don't really have a feeling yet who or why both sides would do this move. Michael Wacha, I think he's unlikely to be traded. He's got a couple more years of control. I don't necessarily think teams are really excited to go get Michael Wacha, who would be a fringe playoff starter on a team with weak starting pitching, like maybe the White Sox. For the Phillies, it's just because you'd want to win the division. He's better than like Alan Rangel. But I don't see Michael Wacha on the move right now. I also don't really know how much the Royals would get back for him, truthfully. Mickey Moniak. I'm going to say likely traded. I think he should be more so pack your bags. Left-handed hitting power outfielder. Corner guy, not really a center fielder, so that hurts his value a little bit, but he is strong side platoon, which helps, and he hits for a ton of power. That has value. I think the Rockies will probably cash in. Miguel Andujar, I mean, you have to trade him, right? I'll never probably put any Padre in pack your bags because AJ Preller is the true wild card, but if someone wants Miguel Andujar, I think you got to move on from him. Similarly for Nathaniel Lowe, likely to be traded. If anybody is interested in bringing him in, he should be on the move. Maybe he's even a pack your bags type moment. Like the Reds have to move on from him. There's literally no reason to keep him. Pierce Johnson, I'm going to put him in likely traded just because maybe nobody wants him because he's not looked amazing. Reed Detmers is going to go in 50-50 for me. We're hearing a lot about his name. A lot of teams want him. Everyone knows, get him out of the Angels org. You're going to unlock that true potential, which could be a frontline starter. The stuff's really good. Detmers is a beast. I think the Angels might consider trading him and getting a ton back because right now he would be one of the most valuable pieces move, especially in a market where it doesn't look like Joe Ryan's going to get moved. Robbie Ray feels like a pack your bags type moment. Anybody who takes Robbie Ray, I think is getting, again, a borderline postseason pitcher. He's just been good over the last couple years. Hasn't been Robbie Ray Cy Young caliber, but this is good enough to get into a rotation and help a team make the playoffs down the stretch. Ryan Jeffers, I think, man, Twins are weird. I'm going to go 50-50 only because you don't see catchers moved at the deadline very often. It's a tall task to be a catcher, get put in a new organization, learn all the pitchers, have those pitchers be comfortable together, and also be a good hitter. Ryan Jeffers is a great catcher, is a really good hitter, but Twins are in it, and it's hard to move catchers. 50-50 for me. Seth Lugo, I'm putting him in the same category as Michael Wacha, unlikely to be traded, more so because he's due a lot of money and he's been horrible. He's not been good this year. I just don't see anybody wanting to help the Royals out by moving them off of Seth Lugo unless the Royals paid all of his money, which I just don't see that happening. Shane Bieber, I mean, he looked good. I'm going to go likely to be traded. It's really all determined on how healthy he actually is. He looked great against the Rays, and that's going to boost his stock because if you are, again, a Shane Bieber type pitcher with the contract that he has, I think teams are going to be interested. It's just staying healthy and proving that he's healthy. Tarek Skubal. Oh man, we've waited this long to talk about this guy. I truly don't know. Like, the Tigers, I feel like you're going to go on a run. This team is too good to be as bad as it is, but now we've seen so much play and they're not doing it yet. I'm going to say pack your bags, and the only reason I'm saying it is that we're hearing that the Dodgers are going to get greedy and go for it and go nuts. They might give the Tigers an offer they simply cannot refuse. And if we get into a bidding war over Tarek Skubal, he's going to be traded. There's no way he isn't. So for me, it sounds crazy, but it might be a pack your bags, Tarek Skubal, you're gone. And if you would ask me a week ago, I would have completely changed my mind. Like, I've gone so back and forth on this guy, I have no idea. All right, Taylor Ward. Orioles are 3 games out, but they're under 500. Think you probably consider moving on from him. There's a lot of teams that could use a corner outfielder. Taylor Ward's been great this year, like a 360, 370 on base percentage, might even be higher than that. The power hasn't been as good. Playing in Baltimore right now as righty, it's better than it's been, but still not the best right-handed hitting ballpark. I think you got to move on from him on an expiring deal. Doesn't make sense for an Orioles team who, let's be honest, they're not making the playoffs. Trevor Larnach, I think's unlikely to be traded. It just doesn't really make sense for the Twins, I think, to move on from him right now. Trevor Rogers, I think, is likely traded as well. For the Orioles, he's been really good down the stretch. You got to run the calculations of what you think the odds are for you to make the postseason. I think Trevor Rogers will actually get you a good bit back. A left-handed starter that's not Robbie Ray and his money. I think you got to consider moving him. Ty France, I think 50-50. I don't know. Like, he's been hitting really well and he plays good defense. It's all about AJ Preller once again. It's tough. I think that they might keep him. I don't know. He'll go through stretches like he has where he's been absolutely mashing, and then I think he'll also have stretches where he's a below league average hitter. Tyler Mahle. I don't think anybody's going to take him right now, right? He's at a spot where he's been so bad that I think teams are going to pass. Although over his last few starts, he's been all right. I'll put him in 50-50. Someone maybe takes a flyer on him, but he is not a postseason pitcher. This is because you desperately need arms right now. Tyler Stevenson, this is probably the backup option for the Yankees if they don't get Ryan Jeffers, which is kind of what I'm thinking. Oh, he's a free agent at the end of the year. Yeah, pack your bags. Tyler Stevenson's gone. I actually think that this will be the Yankees catcher over Ryan Jeffers. It makes way more sense. And then last, one of the most controversial players right now to talk about, Zach Neto. Apparently teams are going hard for Zach Neto. And we said it on the windup when we talked about quality of player. He's a very, very similar player to CJ Abrams. They both don't play shortstop well. They both hit really well. I think I like CJ Abrams a lot better as a player, but Zach Neto is a borderline top 10 shortstop. I'm going to put him in the 50-50. It really depends what Artie Moreno lets John Mozeliak do now that he's in control of the Angels, taking over for Perry Minasian. It might be time to cash in because I do think, like, to a team like the Red Sox, who seem to be very interested and are going to be aggressively pursuing Zach Neto, be a great organization to grab some talent from. So that's why it's 50-50. Blow the Angels away. I do think Zach Neto could be the surprise name this deadline to go. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me. Is there someone that I didn't mention in this video? Like, I know Sandy wasn't on here. I think he's 50-50 right now. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, and opinions down in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Thank you guys so much for watching. The trade deadline's hot. Hopefully you get news soon. I'll see you next time. Bye.